So this is the virtual IP, and in this site, I'm able to see this. So yesterday you asked if we can demonstrate the active standby thing. So the command to do that is to put one node in standby. We can say it is as a PCS node standby and give the name of the node. That'll bring it to standby. In case if you want to make it as active back, so we can make it as unstandby. Unstandby is the command to make it back or bring it back to the active state. So two node cluster is what I have created. So this is not a very great way to demonstrate the redundancy part because just we have only one node and there will not be enough quorum to decide for the cluster to decide on the active. So it may have some issues. However, I'll show you what is happening in the nodes. Okay, so currently both the
Yeah, that's just one thing. Yeah, just going back to the standby and unstandby. I think yesterday we were trying to understand somewhere in the configuration file, we will be defining which is the main or which is the primary node, right? So if this node is failed or unavailable, only then go back to the standby. And once active is stable or available, it will revert back or restore back to the main one. So this configuration in somewhere in the Excel uh, in the configuration file backend.
we can define one thing called constraint by giving uh, some specific node higher priority by giving the vote. So based on that, we can tell this is the node that we want to have it as an active. In case if you do not give it, so it will go by the way it works based on the quorum and the votes. So based on the votes they have, so it will bring up the active amount. It will elect the active and it will bring up the active assets.
Mm, okay.
Assets.
Okay. So where is that definition? I mean, or where we are going to define it? But here, okay, this command we understand it. Okay, when
Mm-hmm.
there is a maintenance, you can fail over back and standby and standby. But like,
Yeah.
okay, which node out of one and two, which is the priority for us?
So if you see, if you see here, so in this one of the node, it's currently saying all of these services are running in send node 1. So that means this is what is the active at the moment, and send node 2 is acting as the standby. And that's how it is currently we can define. And one other way we can uh, verify is this website is currently available with this virtual IP. And I can also see this in the one node 1 where it is active. Node 1's IP address is 17.0011, and we can see this is the node which is active, and the next node is actually 12. Uh, 12 is the node, and if you try to see the 12, you don't see the page. You don't see the web page, so it is only this what we can see. Do you see my screen? Are you seeing my screen? Okay.
Yeah, we can see it. But yes, this is the way
Yeah.
to see which is the active one now. Correct, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
But now, let's say now we are saying node one. So how it goes to node one? Why not to node two? Well, there should be
Uh,
some definition for this one, no?
yeah. So those things we can configure in the votes thing. So I have. Yeah. Pacemaker resource configuration. So this is where we have to make uh, the required configuration. The active node is mainly influenced by node scores, resource constraints, stickiness, and availability. while a failure or absence of a quorum may cause pacemaker to promote a standby node to become active. And these are the parameters that will define the that will make one node as an active. So there is a thing called node scores or node weights, which determines the preferred node to run a resource. A higher weight gives a node preference to become the active node and lower the standby. And there's a resource constraint. Resources can be constrained to specific nodes. Using the location constraint, we can say this resource, we have to run it in this node. There's a node availability. Pacemaker will always try to keep the resource on the active node unless it becomes unavailable. Resource stickiness is another parameter, and quorum cluster state. The cluster loses the quorum. The active node would be affected, or the cluster might go into a degraded state. So this is about the quorum and failure and recovery. So there's a list of configurations that we can do in the resource. Uh, if you see here, PCS resource config.
Okay.
So this is what is the uh, resource. These are the resources that I have right now with my cluster. So there is a HTTP file system. There's a virtual IP and its relevant configuration, and there is a HTTP
Okay. So
service
there
and
should,
its relevant
okay, this is for resources, okay, and similarly
resources.
should be for
And
nodes, right? No.
one second.
And also, please, can you recall or maybe zoom into quorum? What actually quorum is? Because it's saying that when a quorum becomes unavailable. So what exactly quorum is here in cluster understanding?
So each and every node is having a vote, and the nodes that are participating in a cluster or um, uh, basically consider or will be having one vote, and based on that vote, so they will the pacemaker will decide one uh, as an active. So there is a calculation. I think if it calculation says like this, if it is uh, five nodes are there, then there will be two active and things like that. There is a small calculation and some configuration is there. So maybe I can give little more information on that tomorrow. Quorum part.
Okay, regarding quorum tomorrow, but we just maybe also need to understand what quorum, I mean, what exactly is like a network, is like a hardware, it is like, what exactly is this quorum?
No,
You're
quorum
saying
is
that, oh,
basic. It's not a heartbeat. Quorum, you can assume that it is like a weight that you give for your node,
mm,
weightage. So there is a number. There is a number which is available for every node, and that vote is actually considered for electing the active and standby.
okay, but for the nodes between the nodes, let's say we are not defining any weightage here, right? For us, both nodes are
We
same.
don't by default it will be vote one. By default it
Okay,
will be
because
considering a vote as one.
what as well.
By
Okay, maybe I
default
think
it will.
if there is some kind of sketch you have it for quorum or some, this one maybe, because it
Okay.
looks like the cluster decision to fail over or to stand by depends on
Hmm.
this, looks like. So we just need to maybe understand what is this so that we can take into consideration. And now going
Hmm.
back to this configuration, defining, okay, I need every time all the resources to be running on node one. Okay,
Hmm.
then this one, I think we can check.
Yeah. So we can check the PCS uh, status. So this will give where it is currently running. And there is a huge list of commands that we can make use of by giving resource. PCS resource config. You can add using this please node add. We can node delete, node remove. We can give here and I need to check, Shabi, if there is a way to configure vote to some other number
Okay.
or not.
Okay, fella.
How
Maybe
he.
tomorrow with the quorum we can include this. No problem.
Okay. Yeah. So,
And how about for the command that you show for standby and unstandby? Yeah, this one we get it during the.
mm,
So now you can like only on standby and standby. So and similarly there should be a command to move the resources, right?
PCs, yes, we can move the resource, the PCs resource move. I think that's a PCs resource move. PCs cluster resource, I believe. So we can, there's a command to move to another node. A lot of command line commands are. See, here, this is the forum configuration. Okay, anyways, so I'll see how this forum configurations. Moving the resource, there is a command that I have had seen it, but I think I noted it down here. Yeah, here I think. Um, PCS cluster, PCS resource move. Sure. Exact command I forgot.
Okay.
Uh, Here, PCS resource move must specify a resource to move. So we can specify which resource we want to move, and further it will ask which node we want to move this resource to. By
Yeah.
that way, it will. There is a cheat sheet also I found in the internet. Maybe you can see if I can download it and I can send it.
Okay. But you are still saving these scripts or sheets there, right, in the shared folder, Alex?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
There is a dedicated folder, right, for the scripts, for cheat sheets, and any other PDFs, commands.
Mhm.
We
Yeah, yeah,
understand you are saving it there. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Shafiq, yeah. So, PC's resource status, resource restart. We can restart a specific resource in case if it is having some trouble. You can put it into maintenance by setting PC's property set maintenance mode true, and we can start the cluster, stop the cluster. Before, if you want to destroy it, we have to stop it and then destroy it. Pacemaker cluster quorum. Quorum refers to the minimum. This is the thing. Quorum refers to the minimum number of nodes required for the cluster to function correctly and make decisions. So that's the thing about quorum. And it works on the majority rule approach where more than half of the nodes need to be able to communicate with each other to achieve quorum. So they at least half of the nodes should be able to communicate with each other to achieve the quorum. So this helps prevent split brain. Otherwise, if that is not happening, if it's not able to get when breakdown happens or when fault happens, and if there is communication between the nodes is not more than the half of the things, then it will get into this split brain scenarios, which means there are two. Previously, it was one cluster, and then now it became two cluster, and that we would not even know whether it is split into two clusters. So things like that.
Okay.
Where two separate parts of the cluster operate independently, potentially leading to data inconsistency or service duplication. The number of available nodes falls below the quorum threshold. The cluster will not operate as a whole, and it will typically get into a degraded state. So this is a fencing thing. So in such scenarios, like a cluster getting into split brain kind of thing, so sub cluster. Previously, there was a three node cluster, and because of one failure, it became one subcluster one, and the other one is another one, uh, forming a separate cluster. So this is what is the split brain. And to avoid this, we can configure the stone, which should be other node in this head, which will which will get activated, and it will bring down this node which is having the minimum quorum, or which is having the which got isolated, employed in a cluster to ensure that a failed node is completely isolated from the cluster, preventing data corruption in split brain condition. So this will be removed from the cluster, and hence it will not give any inconsistency or degrading state for the cluster. So it will now this two thing alone will work without any issues in the node. So that's about the pacemaker fencing. And in case if you have another node that you want to add, yes, you can do that. First thing is we need to have the shared disk with the ISKC client. So the shared disk should be available and should be available with us. And after that, we'll have to authenticate the specific uh, node. This authentication should happen from an existing node. So this is one thing, we cannot do this from the new node. Should make sure that we are doing this from an existing node. Run the following command. So PCS auth sent, I mean, this is the name of the new node. And we may have to give another node. So from where we are running this. So send node to local. So this is the one. And it is, this will authenticate send node 4 after prompting for the password for HA cluster. So once we give the password for HA cluster, it will authenticate it. And then we can use the command PCS cluster node add, and node, we can give this command, give the name of the new node, and then we can start all PCS cluster start all. So which will bring up the new node along, bring up the cluster along with the new node. And in case if you want to bring down a node or remove a node from the cluster, we can give this command pieces cluster node 4 send node 4 dot chosen. Okay, so that's about the cluster management. So I'll
But where is Stonet? We will not see the Stonet. We will install Stonet and tablet.
Stoneit. Yeah, Stoneit I cannot demo it because it needs the power supply. Stoneit I what is here.
Ah, this is the main part, not Stonet. Uh, so what is that? The power supply means which power supply you are referring?
Oh, okay. So basically, so the this case, what is happening is this is the three node cluster. Okay, so there is a three node cluster, and one of the node is has gone bad. And so since one of the node gone bad, so what is happening is it has come out of the cluster, and it is also forming a cluster kind of thing. It is a subcluster 2 kind of thing, and there is a subcluster 1 which got formed out of node 1 and 2, and node 3 came out of that. So this is the split brain. So in such scenarios, because of the the stone we will have to configure in the pacemaker, stating that, so in case of some uh, what is it, the quorum failure. So in case of quorum failure, so we will have to tell the pacemaker that this whichever node which is having a lowest or isolated from the cluster may have to be would have the power need to be brought down. So that's the kind of configuration we'll have to give, and this configuration is tied up with the power supply. Power supply. Power supply. That means it's a power supply. There are some power supplies which comes along with the configurations that are visible to the Linux. We will have to tell which we'll have to configure the Stoneit in the pacemaker so that during such scenarios, those nodes power supply would be removed.
Yeah, but we cannot simulate this one, or at least install and add it there. Maybe we will not be able to test it, but at least the configuration and the installation can be checked in this one. No?
Uh,
Because this is part of the cluster, Stonet. If you say, okay, even TCS, Stonet, we can simulate, like if required. Or at least we'll go through the configuration step by step.
Stoneit, I have made it false. Stoneit, I have not configured because of the hardware limitation.
Yeah, this way it will be incomplete, no? The understanding or the go through will be incomplete. Or the virtual IP address that you have, if there is one server for virtual IP, right? This one you can consider it as the third node. We can do this like that.
Because that is a RHEL. So,
Mm.
so we have to have all the packages, same packages with same version. So that have to be. Wait, I can try adding a node, but Stoneit I
Mm.
cannot demonstrate. I can remove one of the RHEL and then and try creating another node having the same package versions, and then adding the syncing the time and the shared disk. All that can be done. So once we done that, when probably we can add one other node to the existing cluster. But stone it demonstration, I don't think it can be done.
Ah, so this will be incomplete, understand. So is there something else that you can do to this Stonet? At least any installation, any setups, we can avoid testing. Because it's just like a definition of what we have seen here. It's just a definition of Stonet, and that's it. Mm. This will be
So I
incomplete, no,
can
Alex?
stone it configuration. Probably I can give a little more details on the stone it configuration.
Yeah, that
Uh,
will be still incomplete, but at least see something better than at least just a definition.
Yeah, okay. So, Stonic configuration, how would the Stonic have to be configured? And when during such, so we will have to configure the Stonic that will take care of removing the isolated node from the cluster. So that's how it is. So you are asking we can how to configure that. So
Yeah, at
I'll
minimum, at least normally we should see the functionality overall for the cluster with all the instances, resources, and the nodes in place. This is the ideal process while going through all the installation process, correct? So now we have done like some percentage of cluster, I would say with PCS maker, some percentage. So then Stoneit plays a role. Then we will do failover of resources from one side to other side. And maybe some simulation on the LVMs or ISKG and availability. Yeah, to
That
fully
we
like,
have
this kind of
that we
things.
so we have seen Shafi. So the shared disk LVM tag sharing the nodes.
No, but okay, so we will now, let's say, make it unavailable and see what is the behavior on the resources. And now how we will be restoring it, how the LVMs are physically available, how you can bring back to the application.
Okay, so here, okay, with the two nodes, I will show it right now. So if I say PCS node standby sent node one.
No, okay, you're putting the node itself on standby. You're not moving the
Yes,
resources now, right? Okay.
I'm not moving currently because uh, mostly it will go into unstable state because of the two node thing. So I've given this command. So now if you see PCS status, okay, it successfully moved it to sent node 2. Okay, so previously it was in sent node 1. Now send node 1, I made it to standby. Now all of the resources are moving to send node 2. And the HTTP service is also moving. And you will continue to see the website over here. And it will not be there in 11, it will be there in 12. And in 11, you will not see that. Instead, we'll see the site 12. Previously, it was showing it in 11. Now the resource is in 12.
Okay.
So we can bring it back to node 1 by giving on standby. So the
And
thing
this
has
timeout is
dropped.
40 seconds. We configure somewhere this one. Agent did not complete within 40 seconds.
So this is the default thing, which is if you see PCS resource.
Because this is important. Let's not understand. So, what is the standard or like normal timestamps we should give between the nodes failover? How many heartbeats should we check? Where is this configuration to configure? To check each other and to do the failover, and what is the sequence of services that will be failing over? These things we would like to know about in this one, right? So you have different resources, right? One, two, and three. So what is the sequence you want to fail over, you would like to fail over? Because there can be some dependencies between the services, right? Or resources.
No, there is no dependencies within this.
No, if we want to do in this way, because okay, in your example, maybe not, but in general, so now let's say you have three resources added, right? So one is HTTP and I think the other two, the one. Now let's say we want HTTP to come first, then the second resource, then the third resource. This type of things, where is this actually backend configuration? This is important for us to know. And how many heartbeats we want to know between
No,
the.
Shafi, there are around 500 commands are there. You want me to go through each of that?
Yeah,
So,
generic one. I mean, not 500. We are saying at least the commonly
so
used one, no?
that will take at least a 1 month, full month we'll have to go through. Cluster management at least will take 1 full month will take. Each and every
No.
topic, it's quite interesting. But it's if you want an elaborative, exhaustive thing, yes, we can do that. But there are so many options are there. Each and every option is having a uh, each and every option is having a meaning, and each and every option is having a functionality difference.
Very good. So what we are trying to say, Alex, here is, so now let's say, okay, normally let's say when you set up the services, so what is the basic configuration behind this one, right? So this is what at least we can see it now.
So if you want to change it, there is a configuration. You can change it. Change the timings.
Yeah,
Yes, we can change it.
yeah. Where this is something we are asking. Where is this one? So now for us to
Where is the
understand,
command you want to say?
I don't know,
There
it's
is a
command
command.
or
So the
is behind the
command to
files. Like,
there is not there in the file. There is a command. Can change. Use the command to change it. We can. If you want to change it, you have a different command. Or if you want to start while starting the uh, resource itself, if you want to change it with a different timeout, we can give it when we start the cluster resource. So when we start the cluster resource, this is how we start the cluster resource. We can give the options while starting the specific resource there itself. So yeah, so what I'll do is I'll forum configuration I'll give, stone configurations I'll give. So these two things I will try to give the commands for you. Is that okay, or you feel
yeah,
something else?
it's okay, yeah, but at least as well, some the one we discussed just now, some basic configuration about the
So that
sequencing
one
of resources.
I'll give the cheat sheet. So it's having so many commands are there. So that is not. I mean, you can go to the. It's not a very big thing. It's all in the Red Hat site. You can. I have to copy and paste it in Word document, and I have to give it. That's it.
Yeah, same thing for us, like this is what we are trying to explain. If the like presentation is just like any
Red
data
Hat
available on the
pacemaker
internet for us.
documentation.
Yeah,
Red
any
Hat
this is like
pacemaker.
this is
This
like
is
any data available for us on internet, but there is a reason for us. We go for the training, for practical experience. So now normally the commands are available on the internet. Agree with you on a cheat sheet, but now when you run it, what is the experience and how you can go dependent commands and so on. That is the experience we want to gain with this training. That is the intention. Commands are available. Agree with you. 500,
mm,
1,000. Agree. Completely agree with you. But
the
we want to
frameworks.
understand. There is a difference, right, for the practical training and the normal cheat sheet commands.
Yeah. So
This is
I thought I have shown some of the commands, Shafi. So you feel how many what other things that you would like to know? So
Yeah,
I
like
need
basic
to.
things, like what we say. Okay, now, for example, as of now in your lab, you define three services or resources. Very good.
Mhm.
So now resource one, two, three. So now if you want to give sequencing 3 to 1, where we can do this? Now
No,
if you
I
want
don't think we
to,
can do that. I don't think we can do that. So why do we want to change the sequence of the resources? I am unable to understand your
no, there
doubt
can be
here.
dependency for us. Let's, for example, you have LVM. Okay, first we want to say the resources for LVM is available before you go start with HTTP. For example, I'm saying. So now if LVMs is not available, what is the need of HTTP starting it?
Hmm.
Like for the same thing for Stoneit. So if Stoneit is there, so if there is no fencing formed, let's say for example, he didn't check all the 3 nodes are up and running at the Stoneit fence, then what is the need of starting the resources? First, make sure at least minimum 2 nodes are up and running. This is the job of Stoneit, in my understanding. So if you don't make sure this fencing or Stoneit is 2 nodes are available, at least minimum in a cluster, then how we can proceed to HTTP or any other LVM resource? So this kind of controls, this is part of basic configuration, in my understanding, not like going through all 500 or 1,000 commands.
Yeah. So to get your point, so you wanted is there how to bring up the sequencing of the resource bring up in the cluster? So
Yes,
that's one.
yes,
And second thing is Stony configuration.
yes,
And what is the thing? Quorum. So that's a quorum. And then you wanted to have the list of commands, cheat sheet from the internet.
yes.
Okay, so I'll give that by tomorrow.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
that will help. Yeah, that will help you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so
Uh,
I'm moving on to the next topic, which is DNS bind.
you are right.
Yeah, just 1 second.
No, no.
Okay, so I'm going to explain about domain name service. I hope you're knowing this
Yeah.
lot about it, but still I'll show quickly how to set up a DNS server and then how to what are the things that are there here. Okay, domain name service is a service that transfers domain name into IP address. Here in this, if it is chosen academy, its IP address is this. So it is very similar to the phone book which we have in our mobile phones. It allows users to access websites without having to remember the long IP address. And this domain name resolution happens in the hierarchical distributed database method. It starts from the root server. Next, it goes to the top level domain server, domain name server, and then finally the authoritative server. So this is how the uh, resolution happens. If you see the picture here, okay, so you can see here. So this is how it works. So client will have the resolver configured, resolver IP address configured in its configuration. And this when the client needs to get an IP address, he will make use of the resolver's resolve. Will reach out to the resolver. So the DNS resolver will first start the DNS resolution with the root name server, and you get the response back, and then he'll go back to the uh, TLD name server, top level domain name server, and he will get back uh, the root name server will tell which TLD server he has to look into, and the TLD server will tell which is the actual authoritative server he has to look into to get the exact IP address record. So, and once it is got hold of the authoritative server, so he will look for the uh, correct record, and then it will fetch the respective IP address and give back to the client, and client will be able to connect to the respective website or whatever. So whole of these things would happen only if if the records are not present in the local cache. The first thing it will happen is in local cache. If the response is not present in the local cache, then only it will move to the uh, uh, root name server, TLD server, and things like that. Okay, domain names and subdomains. So domains or the parent domain. It could be like chosentraining.com or myname.com. So whichever, so this is the top level domain. And we can define multiple mm, domains in one single server. So that's possible. So the multiple domains refers to having several distinct top level website address. We can define that. Subdomains refers to having separate sections within a single domain. Like if you have the top level domain is myname.com, and if you want to have a subdomain like my blog, separate section within the single domain, we can have it as blog.myname.com. And primary DNS server and secondary DNS server is also possible. So if we configure it, so this is the first server the system would contact when trying to resolve the domain names and IP address. Yeah, it's a preferred server. In case if this server is not reachable, or if for some reason it's not working, and then you'll go back, you'll take up the backup server. I'll try to reach up the backup server, which is the secondary DNS server, and you to get the service based on the secondary DNS. Okay, so demo setup is this. I have uh, a DNS server running in 172.15.0.11. And there's a web server running in 172.15.0.10, and mail server will see tomorrow. So that's running in 12. There are two clients, Windows DNS client, it's 0.4, and there's another client called Linux client, which is running in 17. Okay, so that's going to be the setup. So you see the steps for demonstration for steps for setting up the DNS server. First, we need to update the system, the m update -y, and then we'll have to, next one is to install the DNS server package. The command is bind and bind utils -y. Both of these things we'll have to install. Once we install, we can give named d -v. It will tell us what the version is successfully installed or not. And next step is to configure the bind. So configuration file is present in etc named.conf file, and named.conf file is the main configuration file for bind. It contains global options and specifies the zones for which the server is authoritative. So So configuration file is in etc directory. We will have to tell which after opening this configuration file, there's an option directive which we can use to under that we have the listen on port 53. 53 is the port number which is being used for DNS server, and we have to tell which is the IP address that's being used for the DNS server, and we can tell that this is the IP address, and allow query. So the query on which network we want this query to be resolved. So we can specify which are the networks here, and here we can specify that as allow query. And allow icon transfer, we can say none because I have just got only one DNS server, so it's saying none. And coming to the defining the zone, so there's a zone directory that we'll have to give here. Zone type master and zone file. So zone file is the zone file db.chosentraining.com. So this is the name of the file we've taken, and we'll have to specify at the end. I'll show this file in a moment. And after that, we will have to tell DNS server the IP address of the forwarders. So if the DNS server is not having any records that the system is looking for, so he will go into the I have given the Google DNS servers 888.844. So these are Google DNS servers. So in case if the DNS server is not able to get the required data, it will take the help of Google's DNS server, which I have mentioned here. And DNS security, I have made it no. So these are the configuration that we will have to make it in the name.conf. Coming to the zone file, we may have to create this zone file. The template for the zone file can be taken from the Red Hat site to create this zone file, and we may have to give the name that we had given here. The name which we had given here is db.chosentraining.com. That's the name of the file. And in this, the location that we have to create this file is this /var/named db.chosentraining.com, and then set permissions for the zone file. And we will have to tell named as a user should be able to access this file. So we'll have to give this permission for this file, and the read-write permission for the named user. That's about the zone configuration file. If you open the zone configuration file, there are some terminologies here. So we'll so the terminologies are like first thing is state of authority record, and then NS records, A records, CNAME records, mail exchange records, and subdomains. So these are the configurations that will be there in the zone file. State of SOA record defines authoritative information for the domain. So this will be looking like this. So in here, we have given ns1.example.com. So that's the authoritative domain. Authoritative domain name is what is mentioned here, and admin.example.com is the contact email. So this is the contact email that we will have to specify for this specific website or the server for this domain name. These are the configuration. This I kept it as default. And name servers, we will have to tell the name server that's called that is the NS records. So if we have two name servers, we can give the name servers over here. So ns1.example.com, ns2.example.com. And A records is the actual record of having the mapping between the host name and the IP address. Mapping between the host name and IP address. In this case, if it is person training to this one. So this is what is my A record. May have to specify what is how it is being mapped. So I'll show that in a moment. And C name is alias for a domain name. Instead of one domain name, if you want to give another domain name for the same thing, we can specify that in the C name. And mail exchange records, we will have to specify in case if you have a mail server over here. And subdomains, we can define the subdomains under this directive. Once that is done, DNS, firewalls have to be enabled for the DNS service, make it permanent, and start and enable. And then can verify it using the DNS dig command, dig, and at the rate of give the DNS server IP, which is 172.15.0.11, and give the domain name, just chosentraining.com. So that will give the equivalent IP address for this thing after getting the information from the DNS server. So from the DNS client side, we will have to make only one thing. So if it is a Linux client, we'll have to go and make the change in the resolve.conf, add the DNS server IP. And if it is the Windows client, we will have to make the change in the Windows Ethernet adapter, stating that we will have to tell which is the DNS server that he has to look into. Okay, now I'll show the demo now. System CTL status namely. So namely is running here. Show the configuration. So these are the configuration that I made. First, under the options directive, we'll have to tell which is the server that we want to listen to. And the server IP address is this 172.15.0.11. So this is the IP address that we have, our server is running. So we'll have to mention that here. And allow query under this here, we will have to specify which is the network the DNS server is serving. So this is the network I have given here. Allow transfer, I've given none because I server not going to have secondary DNS server, so I've made it as none. And forwarder IPs, I've given it as two forwarder IPs, 888 and 8844. This will be used in case if the records are not there in this DNS server. So the records are not there in the DNS server, we'll go and use the forwarders forwarder IP, which is the Google's DNS server, to retrieve the actual domain name. Now, okay, so one more thing is At the end, I told we'll have to make this zone configuration. So this zone configuration is the domain name chosentraining.com. That's the domain name. Type is master, and the zone file, you have to mention it here. So since the file is uh, this is the default location of this file is /var/name named name d, and under that we have this file. So I've given it. So if you want to, if we have this file in some other location, you can give the complete URL path. So coming to the zone file, so this is the zone file. This is my domain name, and this is my authoritative record, state of authority record. So I've given the name of the uh, fully qualified domain name of my server, name server, and the email address, which is root.localhost. I have given it as a sample. And then all of these details I have not touched. I kept it as by default. And name server record. This is the server record that will specify which is the uh, host, or which is the node which we are using it for name server. And name server is sent node 1.chosentraining.com. So that's my name server record. And a record will have the mapping. Sent node 1 is will map to 11, and www, that's the website, is mapped to 10. And the mail server record is mail.chosentraining.com. And in case if we have this mail installed on this server, so we'll have to specify that it's a mail service, and the record a record and its IP address is this. Okay. So we can go to the next VM and give dig the data 172.10.0.11, and then www chosen. And I'll in the Windows, I have made this configuration. This is the virtual box Ethernet, only Ethernet adapter. So this is a configuration. So in the version of this, and I given the DNS server IP is 172.15.0.11. I've added it here, and now I give. So this is the page which is rendered after resolving the domain name from the DNS server 172.15.0.11. So the actual server is running in Ubuntu system. This is where the this is a 172.15.0.10, and this is the record that we had given in the DNS server. So if you see the web page here, so web page is present here. Where so this is the web page that I have created, and this is where you can see this page is rendered after resolving the domain name on DNS server.